Okay, in this movie what I want to do is just show you some easy selection tools that you can work with. Obviously the first primary tool is the selection arrow. Notice that when I'm working with the selection arrow, I can click in a fill area and it selects the entire object just like the black arrow, but I can drag a marquee and select parts of an object that a black arrow can't do. I can select a segment of an object and it'll move the segment. That's interesting. That's a very weird little redraw problem. I wonder if I zoom in. Yeah, when you notice redraw junk like that, try changing the screen a little bit. All I did was zoom in. You'll recall that Command space allows you to get the magnifying glass. Just zoom in. Command Option space lets you zoom back out. Alright, so you can do that. So if you click on a segment that has a curve, you can also adjust the curve. Some people find this a little easier to do than actually grabbing the handles. Notice that the handles, though, don't go in any different direction when you're making this adjustment. They just take off in the direction they're currently pointed. So if you need to make an adjustment like that, you still have to grab the handle and move it around. But now if I grab the segment, it'll adjust that way. So you can adjust parts of the shape. I can select multiple points holding down Shift, and I can click it and drag around those points together, as well as just single points. Also, one other thing, look at how the cursor changes. When it's over a segment, you get a black arrow, or actually over a fill too. It just indicates it's over a shape. When you're over an anchor point, that changes to a white arrow, so you know you're on an anchor point then. Usually what I do, though, the quick easy way to do this is just to drag across a shape. If I'm not sure where the anchor points are, just drag across so it becomes selected, and then I can see where the anchor points are. The blue ones are whatever is selected, the white ones are not selected. So if I want this guy, I can just click on it and it selects. If I want to select multiples, just hold down Shift and do that. Alright. Now, if we want to make a copy of this shape, let me show you some neat tricks you can do with this. We'll move and transform this shape around a little bit. First thing, to make a copy, just start clicking and dragging, and anywhere while you're dragging, while your mouse is down, hold down the Option key. And you'll notice when I do that, I get a little secondary symbol that shows up on my cursor. If I let go of the mouse button first, I get a copy. You don't have to time it, just remember to let go of the mouse button first before you let go of the modifier key. If I press Command D, I can duplicate this shape, and it just uses the same transform, and it'll just keep doing that for a while. So that can be helpful if you need to lay down just a series of shapes all at once. Option copy at once, and then just Command D, or again the Apple key and D to make those movements all the way across. Now let me show you some other neat things you can do. I'll go ahead and delete these, Command A to select all, and I'm just pressing the delete button. What I want to show you now is how you can use that little copy trick to make all kinds of interesting little patterns. With polygon here, I'm going to just drag out one little polygon. I'm going to get out the rotate tool, which is a transform tool. The way transform tools work is they set down a pivot point, usually right in the center of the object to begin with. But it doesn't have to be that way. If I click and let go, notice that the pivot point moves to this new location. I can now click and drag, and it'll rotate around that center. The key with any transformation is to make sure that your mouse pointer is far enough away from the pivot point. Most people get screwed up when they get too close in there and it starts to become difficult to control. So I like to think of it as a lever. Click and drag further away, and you have more control. It moves more slowly. The closer we get to it, the faster it can move as well. Alright, so I'm doing a basic transformation, right? No big deal. But now I can also remember the whole little option trick. So if I click and drag and hold down Option and let go, I've made a duplicate. If I press Command D, it's going to follow around that transformation, which is really nice. I can create kinds of interesting artwork by being able to do this. Now if I wanted to do something where the transformation was uniform all the way around, notice that it doesn't close up properly. I can undo back, and this time when I click and drag, hold down Option to make the copy. I'm going to hold down Shift to constrain it to 45-degree angles. Now with Shift held down, I'll let go, and as I go around, it makes a nice uniform copy all the way around. So that's a good trick to know. And if I want to make multiple copies, then I can, do this first, select the group, and then get out the rotate tool again. It automatically centers on that group, and now I can rotate this halfway, and just kind of eyeball it. There we go. And now I've got a whole bunch of little shapes. I could even expand this out. This is kind of a fun way to make strange textures in Photoshop. I'll change the rotation point out here. Take this guy, hold down Shift, make a copy, Command D around, and again you can start to build pretty interesting ornate shapes just with one little polygon, and then a judicious use of where you're putting down that center point. So again, hold down Shift, Option to make the copy, and you can see it starts to become kind of a big crazy shape. So that's one thing to think about while you're making your patterns. You don't have to necessarily draw a complex shape to begin with. You can start with a basic shape and try something like option copying. Option works with all kinds of different transforms. If I zoom in, let me get another shape here. Let's do the star, and like the polygon with the star, I can use the up and down arrows to add points or remove them. It seems to work very quickly now. With the older version of CS, it didn't seem to add points as quickly as it does now, so I'm not sure why it's doing that, but we'll just add there we go, get out to a 5 point. So I'll drag this out, and let's change the color just for change of scenery. Okay. Now this time I'm going to show you how to do some of that stuff with the scale tool. If I get the scale tool here, it's right next to rotate. Scale works the same way as rotate. It works around the center point. As I click and drag, it's going to move towards or away from that center point. If I hold down Shift, it's going to constrain it so that shape stays the same. You'll notice it kind of sticks as it comes near itself, but for the most part it works pretty uniformly. Now here's a fun little trick you can do. I'm going to hold down Option. I'm going to have this come in just a bit, and then press Command D a couple of times, and you can get some funky shapes that way. If I go ahead and select all of these, I can change the stroke. Notice along the top I have some nice controls there as well. I'll go ahead and change this to smaller point size, and now we get to see the effect. So some neat graphic effects can be made by doing this. Let's undo back. Remember, you can move your transform point. I'll go ahead and change this pivot point. Just click and let go. I'm going to put it down right in the corner, and now as I click and drag, I'll hold down Option and Shift together and press Command D, and I can get the effect a different way as well. So don't underestimate the easy things you can do to create some artwork as well as some of the more complex things. Again, I'll just change the stroke from up here. That's kind of nice and handy. Alright, so that's some quick and easy object transformation. Let me show you just a few other tricks. With the star tool again, when you click and drag with the star tool, by the way, if you hold down the command key, I still have the mouse down, but when I hold down the command key too, notice that the inside points have stayed stuck and the outside points move in and out relative to those now. So if I need a star that's really sharp pointed, I can just hold down command and drag out and get that kind of star. Every star I make afterwards will be like that. So if I need to alter that back, hold down command again, drag back towards the middle, and it makes that adjustment. Alright. Now, one last thing while you're making stars. If you hold down the tilde key, which is right to the left of the 1 key, right above your alpha characters, if I hold down that tilde key while I drag out a star, notice what happens. It makes duplicates of that star. And right now the front one is the biggest, so we don't see all of the others. So I'm going to go ahead and select all and just give them a fill of none. When I do that, notice that we now see the whole range here. And I can, again, change the stroke on this down to something that's more reasonable. Let's go to a half a point. And we can see what's happened. We now get all of those shapes. That can be kind of fun. When you hold down tilde, the amount it copies has to do with the speed that you hold it down, or the speed that you pull out the star. Notice this one's a little different looking. And you can also rotate while you hold down tilde. So you can get some strange rotations like that. It's almost like a spirograph, if you remember spirographs at all. Let me show you one other thing you can do. I'll select these interior stars, go under filter, and I'm going to try to twirl this. I wonder where, here it is, twist. We can try twist and see. We'll put in an angle of 45 degrees. With every new version of Photoshop, they seem to rename that. So now it's called twist. It used to be called twirl. In any case, you can get that under the filter menu, and it looked like it was under distort twist. And basically that just cranks the shape around the interior. So you can create something kind of fun this way. Keep in mind you'll probably see something like this in the midterm exam, so you might want to study up on that.